Hello everybody, my name is Joe and today we are going to be doing a tutorial in the program Autodesk Maya. And this is the 2014 edition of Autodesk Maya because this is the one I'm more used to using. So yeah, today we are going to be learning how to do a couple of things. One of them is quite basic, some basic keyframing animation, and then we're going to do something that's slightly more complex. But to start off with, we're just going to click this cube button up here, and then we're going to hold down Shift and X on our keyboard at the same time, and just click, hold and drag like that. You can see it's doing it as an equal sized cube to the grid, like it's always lining up with one of the lines on the grid, whereas if we didn't do that, we've got this. If we just hold Shift and X, and we do that, and we've created a cube. Now to view it shaded, we hit 5 on the keyboard, and we have a cube. Yeah. So, as basic keyframe animation, if you hit W on your keyboard, it brings up the Move tool. So if we move it to there, at the moment, if we go on to, if I didn't make that clear, the tiny little box down at the bottom here with the running man on it, and we scroll down to here, we can see our playback speed here is 24 frames a second. So 24 frames here, so on this little time slider thing, that's just 1 second. So, in this box, if we hit 48, now we've got 2 seconds worth. But if I just hit it as 24, there we go. So, we've got our box here, and so we click this frame, make sure this frame is selected, and we hit S on our keyboards. We go over to frame 24, and we hit S again. So that means that the start and end positions are going to be exactly the same there. So now if we go to, as example, frame 12 and we hit S again to add in a keyframe, and just move it over to there, hit S again, and that has said to the program, at this point in time, the box is going to be over here, but on frame 1 and frame 24, it's going to be over on the left. So if we hit the back arrow and then we just hit play, you can see it goes quite fast. So to make it look slower, if we go back to where the running man was and we click this box, we put half and we save. It goes a bit slower, it's a lot more jagged, but it's just because we're playing it back at a oh god, I didn't mean to click that. Then we go to here, we hit play every frame, of course it's going to go very quickly, so we just stick it back on half. There we go. And that is how to create a very basic keyframe animation. And you can see it lingers a little bit longer on the left than it does on the right. And the way we can fix that is, if we go onto the left-hand box down here, and we hit 23, we put 23 in there, then that frame there, frame 24, overlaps with where frame 1 is, so it's going to be a lot smoother. You can see it's a lot more smoother, it doesn't linger on the left at all. So that's how to do a very basic keyframe animation. I'm just going to hit new scene, I'm not going to save it. And now, quite a complex thing, but it's not even really complex, but it can produce some quite cool results. So we are going to be learning about nCloths, which is what animators and modelers use, as you'll probably guess, to simulate cloths and clothes and things like that, or sometimes even can help simulate skin on a character. What we're going to do is we're just going to create a sphere shape, make sure it's centered. So by highlighting all three of these and putting 0, or whatever number you put in, it will make all of those that number. So if I put in 5, it's going to, you can see they're all at 5, or if I hit 0, they're all at 0. So if I do that and then I hit 5 on my keyboard again, now to make it look smooth, I'm going to hit 3 on my keyboard, and you can see, if we zoom in, you can see instead of being sort of more jagged, it smooths it out. So we're just going to leave it on smooth for now, keep having the pressed button 3 on our keyboard, and what we're now going to do is we're going to, this one here, create polygon plane, and we're going to do the whole Shift and X thing again. If I just hit W, put it in the centre like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this green arrow to move it up above the sphere. And you can see here on the right, which is our attribute editor. We're going to click here where it says polyplane 1. You can see the width and height is 24. Where it says subdivisions width and height, we're going to select both of them at the same time again. Let's go for 10. So you can see it's created 10 subdivisions height-wise and width-wise. Okay, so we're going to go back to this arrow tool, going to select the sphere, then up here where it says polygons, going to click that, going to N Dynamics. And we're going to go, with the sphere still selected, we're going to go N Mesh, create passive collider. Now if it's already at the default, you can just click that, or if you're not sure what the settings are on it and you just want it to be at the default, if you click this option box here, and then you go to Edit, Reset Settings, that will reset it. So if we hit Apply and Close, that has now made it a passive collider. If we hit Control A to open up our attribute editor, you can see we've now got N rigid shape 1 and nucleus 1, and that tells us that it's worked, that it's become a passive collider. So if we hit Control A again to close that, we select the cloth, if we go to N Mesh, and right below where passive collider was, if we click create nCloth, or if we go to the option box, reset settings, apply, there we go. And now if we go to fields, gravity, because if we just, if I put this at 240 frames, so that's going to be 10 seconds. Obviously just doing that, there we go, it acts quite weirdly. So what we want to do is go to fields, gravity, obviously edit, reset settings, and then hit apply, create, close. Now if we have a look at it again, you can see it falls a lot faster and it droops down quite a lot better. So if we select it again, hit 3 on that, and we hit play, you can see it looks a lot smoother, and of course because it's only got few subdivisions, it's not a very high detailed model, as you can see there. It's not got that much detail to it, which is why you can see here it's bending along this line of squares, this line of faces. So if you want it to be more detailed, obviously you'd put the subdivision up higher, but I'm not actually sure where it is on this, so I'm not going to show you how to do that. That's how you do that, and then if we hit play, we get it to a nice bit like that, as an example. We're going to add a material to it, so if we hold right click down, we go to assign new material. I click here, mental ray materials. Now, if you don't see mental ray materials here, what you'll need to do is go to Window and Settings Preferences and Plugin Manager. And you want to scroll all the way down to the bottom where it has this one right here. I can't actually what it says. Maya. Basically, it's the mental ray for Maya 2014 one. You want to click Loaded and Auto Load, and close it, and then you'll get this. So I'm going to go for Maya Material X, like that. And because at the moment it's classed as an nCloth, it's very difficult to add a material to it. So you can just create a sphere off to the side here. Assign existing material, Maya Material X1. And there you can see, if we do this, let's go for copper. You can see it's changed it on that and that because they're both using the same material. Or if we, oh god, if we change it to chrome, they'll make it look like chrome once it's rendered. So if we do that, and then we can make the ball, if we do assign new material, we go to mental ray Maya Material X. You can see in this one it says Maya Material X1, and this now says Maya Material, or it did say Maya Material X2. So if we do this, assign existing material, and see it just goes up in numbers if you don't end up naming them. So here, and then we go to presets, copper. There we go. So now you can see the sphere under here has changed. So if we hit delete, and then click this camera here, this sort of clapperboard thing, and then select mental ray, and click the clapperboard again. It renders it out using mental ray, and you can just about see the cloth and the copper sphere. And that's because we haven't added any light sources. So we want to go here where it says display render settings, so it's like the clapperboard with the two dots next to it. You want to go indirect lighting, and one of the easiest things to do is just to click create next to physical sun and sky. Then that adds a light source in, so then you want to hit close. And if you hit the clapperboard with the, normally if you hit a clapperboard, if you just click and drag and then hit the clapperboard, it renders that specific region. So say for example I now wanted to change the material of the sphere, but I didn't want to have to render the entire image out again. If I create this, oh god, if I create that, I hit assign existing material, my material X2. If I want to do frosted glass, and I hit replace. Now I've replaced it with that, so if I open up the render view again, and I hit this, you can see that the camera angle hasn't changed, but you can see that it's the different material. So if I can hit render the entire image, and that sphere that I used is in there as well. But mental ray is one of the cleaner rendering engines to use, because everything just looks a lot nicer, and you've got all the more materials you can use than if you use like Maya software. So if you just look at that, it's just a black screen because it doesn't register the light sources you use for mental ray. Just re-render the entire thing again. But yeah, that's sort of how to do nCloths, basic keyframing, and also a tiny little thing about rendering. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, let me know what I should do next. Bye.